I had to come back inside. It's probably not 104, but it doesn't take much to get me tired. That's one of my symptoms or signs or whatever about my nervous system damage. And I don't know why I got something bump on my screen there, but so anyway, I guess I am smart. I'm legally a genius. That's what I am. But I think of smart people have common sense, things like that. I don't have a lot of common sense. Ask anybody. I grew up my whole life not knowing even I had never heard of ADHD, and I thought all I wanted to do was be normal. Yeah, that was my goal, you know. And my furthest back memory is just probably 3 or 4 years old, and I've seen pictures of me, and not very many. I think I've got about 3 or 4 pictures of me is all. But I was a little chunky kid, looked like I was going to be huge. But I was just a little skinny kid all through kindergarten and most of grade school, and I used to get picked on all the time. And you know, I did my best to stay out of the way of those guys as much as I could, hang out with friends and things like that. But nobody in the neighborhood I grew up in, which was it's called Hills Yard. It's a old Great Northern Railroad. Jim Hill, they built engines there, and it was my dad worked there. It had been there a long time. The whole side of Spokane up there was really for Hilliard and bringing the railroad in and stuff. And my dad, we lived just right across the street from where he worked. We're the closest house to the railroad yards. So we were we weren't on the wrong side of the tracks, we were on the tracks. And, but I didn't know that. I didn't know we were poor or anything. Everybody, we're all in the same boat there, you know, and I never missed a meal or anything. So I wasn't complaining. I enjoyed being outside, playing with my friends. It was a great neighborhood, I thought, to grow up in. Yeah, I guess I think I don't remember back then thinking I was dumb or anything. Maybe I did. I was just always embarrassed because I didn't, even in kindergarten, I didn't know what the other kids did. It was, you know, very basic math and spelling and that kind of things. And those symbols and numbers, they didn't mean anything to me. And I don't have hardly any memory. I remember walking by myself at 5 years old, about almost a mile and back, and having to watch out for bullies and dogs and things like that. And then remember going into the building, and I don't remember really what happened in there. They see me sweating. Oh, it is hot. I'd sweat no matter what. But so anyway, I taught myself how to read. I taught myself how to do math with mostly my fingers or symbols and things like that. But, you know, I'm just still embarrassed when I couldn't tell you my times tables, and my wife loves to play cribbage, and given enough time, you know, I beat her every time, but she doesn't like giving me the time. It's like, when are you going to learn that 7 + 8 is 15? Well, you know, I just forget that. I can't explain it. If any of you guys have dyslexia or numerical dyslexia, you know what I mean. But, you know, I was, like I said, I went to college. I got good grades. Even though I got arrested when I was 17, I graduated. I turned 18 while I was locked up, but we were in the Centralia School District. And so they were very nice enough, even though I didn't go to school there. My paperwork went there, and they gave me a diploma. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And I graduated in the top 2 of my class and with honors. And, excuse me. And went on to college and did real well in college and everything, but I still didn't think of myself as smart or genius or anything. I got my Series 6 and 63 investment licenses, and I worked for Prudential for a while, and then I got into commercial insurance and did real well at that, but I just didn't like it. I'm not a salesman, and so I got out of that and started plumbing. That was about I'd have been right at the turn, maybe 1902, 1903, something like that, because I put my apprenticeship in, and I was born in 1960, and I ended up starting my own business in 1995, which I had for 25 years. and I ran a very successful business. I was respected by the other plumbers. I was friends with all the other plumbers in town. I was the chairman of the local code board for a while. I was always on the committee. I really enjoyed doing that. But when I went to work for WSU, even though things didn't work out there, I really enjoyed it immensely because I was learning something new every single day. And it wasn't just plumbing, so they had several maintenance people there, but they couldn't fix a lot of the more technical stuff. And so my job was to take care of all the plumbing across campus in 12 buildings, and all the irrigation stuff and backflows. And I also had to do all the work for the HVAC guys. And I spent 1 year covering for the painter guy, and did all his work plus all my work. And I the boss was a very good friend of mine, still is, I hope. And he would constantly come straight to me because he knew the other guys couldn't fix something, and he would say, "Hey, would you come look at this with me? The other guys can't figure it out." And I'd go over there and I'd figure it out, and it's like, yeah, I can fix this, and it's not going to be very much money. And I would do that over and over and over. I wasn't looking for it. It just, my boss and the building department and the lab department, everybody went straight to me, and I'd always get permission, but it was making a couple of supervisors look bad because I was working for $20 an hour and doing everybody's work, and they just couldn't stand it. They had to get rid of me. And they were tried for quite a while. They were, saying you're weird, you're not normal. And this was when I took my testing and found out I wasn't normal. And I said, one of the guys just said, "You're not normal. What you say isn't normal." What had happened was the boss friend of mine, I kept everybody up on all my testing. They knew I had ADHD, anxiety. My doctors had written letters saying, "Hey, he's fine, don't worry," but just give him some grace. And which they didn't. But one of these supervisors that turned on me here, he has son with ADHD, and I was talking to the big boss about just what was going on with me. He was curious, he wanted to know, and I would say, "Oh, here's what's going on." And he said, "Hey, you should talk to supervisor so and so, because he has a kid with ADHD. He'd be a good resource for you." and I tried to do that. I did that. That got me in big trouble because that person said that I wasn't normal, and to stop my conversations weren't normal. Me asking to talk to him about his kid wasn't normal. It was terrible, and I said, "Hey, I know I'm not normal, but I have great value, I'm not causing any trouble at all. I have some communication issues and things, but I am doing the work of 5 people around here. I'm saving the state of Washington tons of money, millions of dollars, and plus the time and everything else. And yet, anyway, I got the call to go back to District 81, and I told him, "Well, give me a week. I got to think about it." And so I went to the head supervisor and my direct supervisor, and I'd been telling them for years that these guys were out to get me. And I said, "I am willing to pass up on the District 81 job if you can promise me that these 2 supervisors," and I named them, and I said, "I just know they're ramping it up on me and stuff. And as long as you can promise me that there's no way they can get rid of me." And both the head supervisor and my direct supervisor said, no, they love me. They said, "There's no way. Nobody's going to get rid of you. You're too valuable," And that's what I always said to them was, "Hey, if my deficits outweigh my value, I'll leave." And because there was always confrontation, And so when confrontation would come up, I'd say, "Hey, I'm not worried about it. I can get another job." But I wanted to stay there, and I did everything I could to be nice to everybody and stay there. But I got the big boss, who was a good friend of mine. He went on vacation for 3 weeks to Hawaii, and that was when I got COVID, right before he left. And I was sick. I was hearing things, seeing things, and the boss is gone. And so these 2 supervisors used me having COVID to say that I was. They went to HR and lied to this person who didn't know me, and security, and they hauled me off campus. It was terrible. And I thought I fought to get my job back, and couldn't do it. And So talking with the chancellor, he said, well, why don't you go apply for another job, a union job, and they'll make twice as much money. And I said, I passed on a union job already. But I said, okay, fine. I said, as long as you don't give me a bad reference when they try to contact you. And he said, he said he would make sure that, put his name on it, which I did, chancellor. And I applied for 5 different jobs over about a year, I guess. And I was the most qualified for all of them. And they were going to hire me, but they contacted WSU, and someone at WSU said that don't hire me, that I was not normal, which I'm not, and I was a safety risk, and that I'd attacked these 2 supervisors, which I didn't. I've never hurt anybody physically in my life, I promise. Okay, so anyway, that tells you kind of where or how I got to be sitting at home and not working for myself. Just couldn't do it. I tried, and I applied for unemployment, and WSU kept me from getting that. They said, nope, we had to get rid of him because safety risk, and they had me fill out a resignation letter so that I could go look for these other jobs. But they didn't follow their side of the agreement on that. And, I'm not upset. I was. This has been over 4.5 years ago. You know how many days that is? And this sweating, this is part of it. My eyes hurt all the time. I'm losing my vision. I'm having to wear hearing aids because you can't see them, maybe. Losing my hearing all the time. I can only be up on my feet for 15, maybe 20 minutes. And if I don't lay down, I'll pass out. I passed out lots, and I've hurt myself badly. I had to have soldier surgery here, which I'm just have a disabled shoulder. Broke my arm. Just all kinds of things. Started getting in accidents. I had to give up my license and quit trying to work. And I've just been applying for disability, and it's been 4 years of applying for disability. I tried to get unemployment over and over again, had a hearing, had a judge that ruled in my favor, and Social Security said, we don't care what the judge says, you're still not going to, we'll come up with a different reason, It's just unbelievably terrible. And I have, I've contacted every state representative I could, including Kathy McMorris and Susan Schmidt, I think they're local people, and contacted all of them at least twice. Just went down the list, told them, here's what's going on. Kathy Schmidt probably 2 or 3, 4 times. Kathy McMorris a dozen times. And they were always nice. They'd always write me back, the office would, and always say, yeah, well you're on the list, people to talk to her. And I said, I will come wherever she's at. I only want 5 minutes to say hi and explain what's going on. And but they never did, and now she's not running, and so that's done. It's a weird deal, I'll tell you what. There's a lot of people just like me who got COVID. The ones that died at first, that first year, we lost over 1 million Americans, and almost all of them, the COVID had attacked their hearts and lungs, that stuff. And so I was having the same kind of symptoms they were. And I had, I had probably a couple of years of testing, and every doctor, it was so frustrating. This was new, I got it earlier than most people, and trying to get these guys to believe me was just terrible, discouraging, bad. And I finally had one cardiologist after a couple of years. He goes, hey, I think this is neurological, which there hadn't been any reports of that as far as I knew. And so he referred me over to a neurologist, great lady. Jennifer Perry, and she's a Kaiser neurologist, and she goes, yeah, this is definitely neurological. Did some tests on me and stuff, but she goes, I'm not an expert. So she went to get me in, referred me to all kinds of people, colleges, universities, clinics, everybody that specialized in autonomic nervous system failure, damage, that kind of thing, and they were all booked. They all told me. Even though I had referrals and Kaiser was going to pay for it, they all said, no, you're not the only one. They said, we've got a waiting list so long. We quit taking names, So I put my name on all these lists, and it took me a year to finally get a call from Stanford. And I went to another place in Kirkland, Washington, and did more testing. And it's just still, I mean, I know what's wrong with me, and I have all these 25 symptoms, something like that. But nobody wants to make a commitment. I don't know why. It just seems like a cover-up or something. The government knows what's going on, and this was caused. I was working for the state. I was doing a great job, and I'd been sick before that a little bit, and so my immune system was weakened, but I kept coming to work even after I got COVID. I kept working because there were projects that were important. I wanted to get them done. So I'm there doing my best I can, working around there. And I got exposed to somebody who had been to China, probably. We have teachers, students, lab techs. We have a lot of foreign students, and most of them are from China. And either one of those had been over, or one of those had an aunt or a friend who'd been over, and they got together with them. And because I work in the labs, and I work in the bathrooms and the toilets and the urinals and the eye wash, I was around these people all the time. And so I had been nowhere else. The only place I had been was home and at work. That was it. And I got it about the first week of January, probably. And it took them forever to start figuring out what this stuff was, and so many wrong things, so many lies. But however many people are still alive, like me, that survived the first part of it, but we're not surviving the nervous system damage. No cure, and there's no medication to slow it down or stop it. And I've had it for 4.5 years, and everything I've read on what I have, they say 6 to 8 years. But I mean, if I'm not careful, if I walked outside and worked too much, I'd be dead today. And so many things. My balance is off, and I see stars, and my ears ring all the time, and I have to drink tons of water. I'm dehydrated all the time, and constipation, and different pains throughout my body that hurt real bad, and numbness and tingleness in extremities. I don't get enough oxygen to my brain. When I stand up, what our bodies normally do is they start compressing the blood vessels and capillaries, and works their way up the leg, and by the time you get on your feet, your body's already compensating for you rising up, and your heartbeat speeds up and everything. That's why you don't pass out. Well, mine doesn't do that. So I have to be very careful. Every time I get up, I always get dizzy. I always have a hard time. I have to hang on to things, kind of stay up for a while, and then I can go, like I say, I could go work a little bit, easy work, or maybe go for a real short walk, and if I don't keep that stuff up, I'm going to become a couch potato. It gets harder all the time for me just to get off the couch. And, there's all kinds of things that are no fun about it. But the biggest part is not getting enough blood in my brain. And your autonomic nervous system controls your heart, controls your breathing, controls everything that keeps you alive. And so I'm not afraid to die. I didn't do anything wrong. I want to apologize all the time. I'm sorry I got COVID. It's not my fault. It was from China. It was made in a lab. It was designed to do what it did. Maybe it got out accidentally. I don't care. I'm dying. I got it. I got a wife. I got kids. I got 4 grandkids. I don't want to leave. I want to stay here. I don't want anybody to take care of me, So why isn't the United States government and the Washington state government, why aren't they helping people like me? They only got to do it for another year, maybe, I took early Social Security. I get $1,600 a month to live on. That's it. Yeah. Where my wife's having to work still. She wanted to retire. She's having to do all the work she used to do, plus all my work, and take care of me. And I think that I have a right to disability and a little help. So that's that side of it. But I will give you much happier news here. The next one.